Now that might seem a little redundant considering I just made a large-scale Samus figure, but there are two main issues I have with the build. My initial concept consisted of retooling the Collector's Edition Iron Man set. That is until I saw the hero figure Spider-Man that, unlike Iron Man, had posability, which sounds cool, except for the fact that it can only handle a few select poses. Unfortunately, I figured out all of this after I had built my Samus figure. So that's why I want to build it in construction scale, where it will be a much more functional model. With that out of the way, let's start the build. I'm going to start with the Spider-Man template here, and as per usual, something like this, I'm just going to start recoloring it to get a better idea of how it's going to look in the end. Now, much like my bigger figure, it's going to be yellow and orange. So let's go split these upper legs here so we can get the inside-outside colors. Sometimes you have to use an older version of a piece. For instance, the old version of the 1x4 bracket comes in orange, but the newer versions with the rounded corners do not. The lower legs should be a little bit simpler here, given that they're just orange. Alright, this is where we start running into some issue. 1x2 plate does not come in orange, that's interesting. These 1x2 plates with the clips, not terribly surprising. And these 1x2 bricks with the studs on the side, which is also not terribly surprising. This section here is going to give us some trouble, so I may have to redesign this kneecap entirely. Now, the feet on construction figures always bother me. For some reason, they look kind of wonky, so I'm gonna go look at some other construction figures and see if one of their feet looks better to my eye. So going through Lego's construction figures, I've settled upon either Captain America's foot or Ant-Man's foot, the one from the Captain America diorama set. Both of these look a little bit more better to me than, say, just Spider-Man's foot over here. Now, I'm leaning towards, I think, Captain America's here, but Samus's foot has this little spike protrusion, kind of something more like this, so I'll probably go with more of a flat design, like on Ant-Man's, and then just build it up here. So let's see what I can do. Alright, so I think something like this will get the job done. I've got the little spiky bit up here, and I just kind of fuse these feet together. Now I'm curious to see what, if I put this on the back, I might give it a little bit more, it makes the foot a little bit more fuller. So either backing probably would be alright. I guess I can wait to see what, actually now that I'm doing that, I think maybe I will stick to that. The foot just looks a little bit more fuller in that regard. So we'll go with that. I can always change it back if I don't want to. So we can tuck these guys off into a corner for now. But yes, I think this will work just fine for the foot. Alright, I am raising these spikes a little bit higher. It looks a little bit ridiculous, but they are supposed to be quite tall, so we'll see how that looks in the final product. So now these knees are still going to be a bit of an issue, but one thing I want to try to do first is if I lower down these side bits, and Samus has got like these discs on the sides of her legs, so I'm going to try to add those along with these, and we'll see if that looks good. Yeah, so something like this actually doesn't look so bad. We got these discs on the side. These bricks on the inside, I have to use the 1x2 versions because the 2x2 does not come in orange. But that shouldn't compromise the structural integrity at all, given the way the front and the back sections are sandwiched on there. So now I just gotta figure out this whole bit. So on my Bricklink travels, I discovered this piece, which again, thanks to Charizard, comes in orange. Now, it's a little bit thick, given the current proportions, but if I recess these clip plates, that's going to cause it. Well, let's give it a shot anyway. Let's see what happens. First of all, we're not using this rounded cap. We are going to go something with a little bit more pointy edges, something like this. We'll cap it off with a 1x2 tile. So this can be our knee guard, but that means that this has to be recessed, possibly both studs down, which I guess would be good. It would help blend in that color there. So now if I pop that on there, well, okay, got some problems already. It works, kind of, but it's not going to give us any actual posability. So let's put that one stud down and see what happens. Attach it. Well, it's looking a little bit, oops, a little bit on the blocky side, that's for certain. Yeah, that's not really doing what I want it to. So we could do something like this, but the only problem is if we use this bar piece, we have to attach it in the center, which means the whole assembly is going to be considerably weaker. So I would like to avoid that if at all possible. So there's this flag piece that came out recently, and wouldn't you know it, Charizard has it in orange. While this is technically the right shape for Samus's knee spike, it doesn't seem to convey anything at all. So this is definitely a last resort kind of piece. While I'm debating what to do with these knee spikes, I've done a little tapering with the lower legs here using these 1x4 wedge slopes instead of the squared off ones at the end. And also removed these tiles on the side just to try to trim and slim the leg a little bit. Okay, so this idea is a little bit more audacious, is by using this plate with the bar in it, I just flip the leg around. So now the studs are on the back, and which means that this can go here. We've got our piece, our knee guard here. Does it look good? I mean, that's debatable, given these big holes in the front. It no longer tapers down, but I mean, I guess that's not the biggest issue. I mean, it looks okay in a manner of speaking, a little chunky in the back, but again, the backs of the legs usually don't look super fantastic anyway. So it's it's definitely an idea that may end up working. Although looking at it now, because these are black, it's really not much different if I just went with the traditional method. I mean, I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. I do wish there was just a little bit more orange going on. Now I'm going to swap these two brackets for one big one, because that way when these 1x4 plates are attached, this one, the yellow one, won't be quite so unstable. And yes, it breaks up the outline just a little bit, but hey, this is supposed to be more of a play figure, so we're going to have to compromise a little bit on the visuals. So I think what I'm going to do with the knees is, instead of using the 1x2 plate with the bar on the side, I'm going to use these dark orange 1x2 plates with the bars on the end, as well as replacing these wedged plates with this 2x3 wedged plate. It's a little bit wide from the front, but I think it'll get the job done just fine. So with that, I think we can move on to the upper torso. And I should probably start fussing with the arms here, the shoulders at least, because it's probably going to give me a little bit more trouble than I would prefer. So what I want to try to do is imitate what they used in the Iron Man Collector's Edition set, which involves this shoulder piece, which is attached on these bars here, which can freely move on its own, separate from the arm assembly. So this is exactly what I'm going to need for the shoulder pads. Let's just see what I can do to actually replicate it though. Because naturally this one isn't going to work for my needs. It's a little bit too big, and the elbow joint actually isn't a joint. It's just, the problem with the Iron Man Collector figure is that it has only one pose, essentially, except for the shoulder joints. There's no elbows, no knees, no nothing like that. So I'm going to have to add my own into this one. So far what I've got is I'm utilizing this new 1x2 Titanic brick for the socket instead of the old 2x2 variant. This is because for the old arm, to connect the socket brick with the rest of the arm is down here with this connection. However, if I were to do that, this bracket is going to collide with the hinge plates. So by using this new 1x2 brick, I've moved the connection point up one, therefore keeping the arm from falling apart. So let's see how to go from here. So already we've got something coming together, although obviously this is a little too big, but this is the general concept. So now I'll just have to see what pieces are available in orange and actually fill this in. In fact, I think I'm going to move in the shoulder pad for my larger figure, just so I got a bit of a visual aid of exactly what shape I'm going for. Well, so far I've got this shape, which is looking close enough. The only problem is trying to fill this out. There are 3x3 round bricks that they've come out with recently. However, they do not appear in oh, I may be incorrect. I thought there were 3x3 macaroni bricks that had come out recently, but that does not appear to be the case. So I can fill this out just by copying and pasting this 100 times, which is probably what I'm going to have to do. I also still have to see how I'm specifically going to mount this to the arm, given that this connection is a little bit different than what I'm going for. Okay, yes, so this 3x3 macaroni piece does exist. I just didn't see it here, but however, yes, it does not come in orange. Otherwise, this would be perfect for filling in this interior space here. But then again, I might also need a plate anyway to fill it in, depending on how wide or how deep it's going to be in the final product. Okay, so a couple of problems. First of all, it's a little bit on the, big side. I mean, it would probably be fine. I guess it'll look more like the original Metroid Prime suit, which had the very biggest of shoulders. The only problem is with the current method is that this is now clipping into the arm here. So while this can move to the inside, it doesn't even look like it can do that for some reason. That is curious. Oh, it's because this piece isn't attached. While it would be able to rotate to the inside, it cannot rotate the other way, which this direction is not the direction I need to go. I need to go down. So let me see what other options I have available to me. All right, now this is looking a little bit better. By replacing those 1x2 plates with the 90-degree bar with just a simple hinge plate like what we've got down at the elbows, this should be able to do the trick perfectly. So all I gotta do now is see if I can actually fill it out. So this is the most rudimentary, just filling out the center. I just took a bunch of these plates and I just copied and pasted them in there. So essentially it looks fine. One minor issue though is that these little spikes up top here, not really spikes, these arches, I'm going to have a very, very difficult time actually mounting these. Now again, at this scale, probably don't even need them. Honestly, I mean, when this is connected to the figure, it'll probably look just fine. But I may try and fuss with that, see if I can get something that looks halfway decent. The other thing too is in the current setup here, this arm joint is set in quite a ways. So this is probably going to suffer the same issue as the real power suit, is that I'm going to make the shoulder joints incredibly wide just to attach this. Because if I move this whole segment out to the outside one stud, it's just going to look very, very large. So I'm hoping to not have to do that if possible. Alright, well, while this is working from a visual standpoint, from a functional standpoint, it's not quite as secure as I would prefer. Now, we do have the range of motion. I thought I had connected both sides of these. For some reason, that does not seem to be the case. But the top section here is still quite lacking in structural support. Now, I do have these internals here, which are supposed to be connected to each other, but like we just demonstrated that they are not. So I'm thinking I may have to go a different approach in order to achieve the proper look. So I think I'm going to change my approach and go with something sort of like this sphere here. Now, this is a very basic design, but the idea is by using plates to give the curved effect instead of actually round plates. This will give me, it won't look as clean, but it will definitely give me more surface area on the inside to be able to reinforce it structurally. Now we can already see some advantages of doing it this way. For instance, I'm able to get these protrusions up on the top there where I wasn't able to do out of this design. It is still looking a little bit blocky, so I think I have an idea on how I can trim that. And instead of this being 4x4 on top, I'm going to try to make it 4x3 and see if that helps the shape any. Somehow I don't feel like that's having the effect that I was hoping, so let me go work with it a little bit more. One thing I can try is to utilize a low L sphere, like how I built my Gilded Guy head. Now this is a far better looking sphere at the compromise of the internals being quite complicated. So I don't have much hope for this, but I'm going to give it a shot and see. I mean, that's looking better, but a considerable problem that I just remembered is that the depth of this is not going to evenly match the depth of my current system, because this is something odd numbers. It's not exactly going to be 4 or 6 plates or whatever. So trying to attach this onto this is going to be far more challenging than I recalled. So I came up with whatever this is. Does it look good? Well, without the top here, maybe it looks a little bit better. But so this method is a little bit of a hybrid because it utilizes these 1x2x2 bricks with the studs on free sides, and essentially makes a core, and then these slopes on each end, and on the front and the back these 2x6 plates, the curved plates. And yeah, so it gets the job done mostly, but it's a little bit squashed. I'm not really sure how to do the top there. Okay, so I think I got something that actually looks halfway decent here. It's essentially taking what I had and just going back to these 3x6 round plates. And then I still have this core here utilizing these 1x2 curved bricks. And the internals are a little bit more refined than before. I believe this would be sturdy enough, and of course you can still go and hinge it a respectable amount of distance. So yeah, I do believe that we'll be going with this for the moment, because I forgot I even was able to add these black highlights. Unfortunately no ridges, but I think I will take this over trying to add an unnecessary amount of detail. So I believe it's time to move on to the, I should probably go to the shoulders before the lower arms, because mounting this is, it's probably not going to be the funnest thing in the world. So for the torso, I want to try using out this style that came about more recently in the construction figures, mainly because it's got these 1x3 arch pieces on each side, and I think it gives a nice contour to the side of the torso. However, looking at Spider-Man's here, Samus's the chest plate does come out a bit wider, and since I'm going to have to build the shoulder mounts wider anyway, this one might actually do the trick, given the fact that it's got these slope pieces underneath here. So let me go and fuss with them a little bit and see which one looks better. Speaking of the chest plate, I think I'm going to copy the similar principle I used for my larger Samus figure, which employs these brackets, which will allow me to change the direction of the studs facing forwards to facing up and down, which will allow me to use these wedges, which will give a nice contour. Now, obviously, I don't have as much space as I do on the smaller figure, so we'll have to see if this is going to be a little bit overkill or not. Something interesting I've noticed is that because the construction shoulders are mounted lower because of the shoulder armor, which I have since removed, means that I'm going to be raising them up. I could make the arms one stud longer, so I don't know if that will come in handy, but it is something to note. Okay, so a slight issue. By narrowing this chest segment down, I'm able to get it to come to a point, except that there's no plates to actually fill in this point. Now, there are these 1x2 wedge tiles that would do the trick. However, there's really no way to attach them in there, so I might have to square it off, but I do feel like that's going to ruin the effect a little bit. Now, I could just take and put a bracket in here with some 1x1 30-degree slopes, but now I've got this weird half-plate gap here to fill in, which probably won't be too difficult to do, so this is looking like my best bet, actually. Okay, so I think this works. Simply what I've got in here is this bracket assembly. So it is an inverted bracket, 2x2 bracket, 1x2 plate, and then this newer fancy 2x2 bracket where it's got the plate in the center, and then this nestles into here nicely and attaches the center bit, and then these brackets have their studs facing down to attach the rest of the sides, while the center bracket has the studs facing up to attach the top portion of this. And it should disappear when I hide it, so it's one whole segment. There we go, something like that. Now it does have a considerable amount of depth to it, so I might be able to use the 2x2 versions of these wedges instead of the 2x3. However, the center then, I don't believe these pieces come in any shorter variations, so that might cause me just a little bit of trouble. Okay, so utilizing this approach of the brackets here is going to cause me some issue, because that means I cannot recess these wedge plates any farther back because they're going to collide into the bracket. So my probably only option is to just carve and just leave it 2x3 here. What I can do is I can reduce the length to here, something like this. So that'll give it a bit more proper shape. Of course, now the other issue is, again, because of the way these pieces are made, these are not the same. This one is 2 plates thick on the back, this one is 1 plate thick, so this will take up all the stud real estate here, so I have no way to actually mount these pieces on the side. Fortunately though, now I don't need this goofy bracket assembly, so I should be able to spin some of these brackets around and actually get studs where I need them. Alright, so I think I've got something that looks a little bit more proportioned here, and it's a little bit flat on the front end, so I could do something like take some headlight bricks and an ingot and put that there just to give it a little bit more character, but I don't know, I'll probably just leave it for the 2x2 brick for now, and once I get the model more finished, I can go and see if I want to do anything about that. Ah yes, that's looking a bit better. So this is looking promising so far. So what I've got is I've got a 5 long axle here with a stop at the end with a ball joint, and I've had to extend it by a Technic bush, and then I've just got this half gear here. It could have been a small bush, but I figured it just looked a little bit more fancy. And then that allows the arm to stick out far enough. I haven't actually tested the articulation, but it should do what we need. This can still go down, and then the arm can go up. So that actually doesn't look too bad. Let's see if it was in this position. Oops. If I could grab the hinge, that is. You could close the gap there. So I wonder. Yeah, I can't bring that in by that half of a Technic bush. So all right, we'll go with this so far, and we'll try and fill out the rest of the torso. Well, it's coming along so far, but I'm having a little trouble with the proportions, because Samus, the suit, she doesn't seem to have as much torso space as these construction figures, but I hesitate reducing her height any, but I might have to once I get this all together if she's looking a little bit too lanky looking. Alright, well this is what we got so far, and honestly it's looking pretty good. Shoulder pads are maybe a little bit small, but I guess that's a good thing. It feels more in line with modern iterations where they've been trying to actually properly proportion Samus. The torso doesn't look as bad as I thought. It's looking alright. So perhaps what I'll do is I should start working on the head and the lower arms, just again to get more of the full picture before I start really dialing stuff in. Although to be perfectly honest, I'm not really sure how much I will be able to dial in. So I think I'm going to go with the arms just for something a little bit more simple. The arm cannon I am a little bit concerned about. I'm debating whether or not to go with green instead of dark green like I did in my large figure, but that would open up some more parts. But at the same time, the one piece I would really like is this barrel piece. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't come in green. It does come in, if I can find it, dark turquoise. Now, this is a color I've seen some people make Samus's arm cannon. I personally prefer just green or dark green, but I could see if I can't get something to work with either of those colors, this would definitely be a fine backup plan, because I really like how it's got that built-in, like that big barrel circumference, which is, you know, it implies the heavy-duty arm cannon, which is definitely something I want to try and keep. So, as usual, I'm running into an issue with the orange color, this time with the wrist, specifically this 2x2 plate with a toe ball on it, which does not come in orange. So, usually this is used in the lower arm to attach the wrist. Here in Captain America, it is used in black, but generally it's used in a color more fitting to the color scheme. So, I've tried doing Wolverine's method, which is minimally better at the very least, because we're using this 1x2 plate with the toe ball on the end of it, but at least on the back side it's mostly covered, so that is okay. However, once again, same with my large Samus figure, these finger pieces do not come in orange, which, by the way, impressive for Wolverine for actually having 5 fingers when the other ones have 4 fingers. But yeah, so using these older claw pieces for the fingers really gives her a big, meaty looking fist, which is it looks pretty poor, especially compared to these ones, which they look, you know, still a little bit awkward, but marginally better than this. So that is a problem which I am not really sure how I'm going to remedy at this moment in time. At the very least, I did get the wrist light, so that's fun. And now, theoretically, if we were going for a strictly Metroid Prime version, I could put the grapple beam on the back of her wrist, but that is something I am not going to do at this time. In fact, I'm still not sure if I'm going to keep this little arm design. It is a little bit on the trim side, but there are ways to compensate for that, so I'll just have to see where that goes. But right now, these fingers are definitely my primary concern right now. But that will conclude this building session. Come back next week to hopefully see the finished model, or check out my channel for more LEGO MOC content. But for now, goodbye.